2025年7月4日，美国迎来建国250周年。在华盛顿烟火齐放、星条旗飘扬之际，川普总统带着满满喜悦宣布，他兑现了竞选时的承诺。一项大而美法案就在国庆日当天正式送抵总统办公桌，成为他献给美国的历史性生日礼物。这项由他亲自命名的旗舰政策，不仅削减对外援助、限制移民福利，更整合关税调整、产业补贴与军工优先，是一套全面改写经济路线的大规模重构蓝图。不过，国庆烟火还未完全熄灭，另一份震撼弹接踵而至。本周一，也就是7月7日，川普政府向尚未达成贸易协议的国家发出第二轮对等关税通知函。自7月9日起，这些国家的出口商品将面临11%至50%的惩罚性关税。韩国、日本等美国重要贸易伙伴赫然在列。这一连串动作看似强势，背后却引发市场与专家的高度警觉。根据华尔街最准分析师哈内特的分析，若依照目前的支出路径推算，美国联邦债务在未来7年内恐将从现今的35兆美元飙升至50兆。与此同时，牛津经济研究院与穆迪也下修2026年美国潜在 GDP 预测，警告川普的政策可能造成结构性成长停滞。
Independence Day, a celebration of all things American in a country about to see big changes. As a few blocks away, President Donald Trump signs his signature Big Beautiful Bill into law after a dramatic fight to get it passed. Speaker Mike Johnson handing Trump the gavel used to enact the bill.
Are we ready? We're ready. Are we ready? Good.
During a ceremony at the White House, getting the bill through Congress, a major victory for the president, who faced pushback from Democrats and several members of his own party.
It's considered President Trump's biggest legislative victory of his second term.
And tonight, here I am. Okay, promises count.
And today, on the 4th of July, and with the stroke of a pen, the president plans to put his agenda into action.
There could be no better birthday present for America than the phenomenal victory we achieved just hours ago when Congress passed the one big, beautiful bill to make America great again.
Trump's signing ceremony will happen in his signature fashion, lavishly orchestrated with a flyover that includes a B-2 bomber overhead. The bill itself is controversial. It squeaked through Congress with a handful of Republicans voting in opposition. The pushback largely around its price tag, with the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimating Trump's plan will add $3.4 trillion to the national debt over the next decade.
Keeping an eye on your money. The so-called One Big Beautiful Bill President Trump signed into law on Friday will affect everyone from low-income earners to Americans in the top 5%. According to the nonpartisan Penn-Wharton budget model, those making less than $18,000 a year who don't pay much federal taxes but rely on benefits stand to lose 2.9% of their income, which is almost $900.
So the biggest part of this bill is the extension of the first Trump administration's tax reform. And those tax cuts from 2017 were set to expire at the end of this year. Those tax cuts are now all extended. But that's an expensive thing. So in order to pay for a big chunk of that, there are big cuts to Medicaid and the SNAP, or the former food stamp plan. And that's partially how the bill is paid for. To be clear, the bill is not paid for. It will add a bunch of money to the debt and deficit over time. But I think that that's kind of the overarching piece of it.
And honestly, I don't really care if you vote red or blue. What I care about is helping you grow your green. But here's the truth. Policy impacts economy, your personal economy, and that economic policy impacts your investments. That means that I've got an obligation to keep you in the know of what's going on. And Trump's new bill, listen, it's packed with tax breaks, investment incentives, and tools that could either fast-track your wealth or it could honestly leave you behind. This bill seeks to make permanent some of the major tax cuts. It does this by extending the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which means that a bunch of temporary tax breaks are now becoming permanent. First, the standard deduction stays extended. This is the amount of money that you can earn each year that's completely tax-free. Before 2017, a married couple could only deduct $13,000. But after the expansion, it jumped to $27,000. And now it's here to stay for good. That means that if you're just starting out and you're earning under that amount of money, that you don't owe any federal income tax on that at all. And for everyone else, it's going to lower the amount of taxes that you pay.
The deadline for reciprocal tariffs has been pushed to August 1st. The Trump administration already moving ahead with steeper trade tariffs. 14 letters have gone out to notify countries of the new levies.
It is worth noting that in addition to those major trading partners, we also saw letters go out to tiny trading partners like Bosnia and Serbia, which have a trade deficit under $1 billion with the United States. So it's unclear why they were grouped in the way they were or what comes next in terms of the additional letters. But with Scott Bessent saying that we're going to see 100+ letters over this week, we should expect to see them for most countries.
I don't put the tariffs in the same category. I think the markets still haven't priced in their potential impact on growth, their potential impact on inflation. He's particularly going after two of our allies, Japan and South Korea, where the cost alone to the auto industry could have a real hit to the American consumer. But there's some triumphalism right now here in the White House. They say, well, April 2nd, we did Liberation Day. It hasn't been inflationary. The markets are doing fine. We've had we're having a good run on other fronts. So the president said, this is a time for me to push and show people that I'm not Trump always chickens out, that it's not Taco Trump.
And for those that wish, and it's weird because the same people that really hate the tariffs, Fred, are the same people that are the first to say, nani, Taco Trump, you didn't do them. So they don't want them. They're horrible. But then when they don't get them, they're still not happy because it gives them another, they're going to damned if you do. And damned if you don't. I understand how a lot of people do not like tariffs, but now we're back to new highs in the markets. And the notion of doubling down, this would be the time that the president would think he has the leeway to do it. And that might make it dangerous because we haven't, every economic report we wait for, Fred, it's going to be this jobs number, we're going to see it. Or it's going to be this PPI or CPI number, we're going to see it. And it just hasn't materialized yet.
川普像准备了4年参加大考的应试生，面对如何带领美国这艘大船前行的申论题，他准备了不止一套剧本。尽管不少人唱衰他的想法，但是大而美法案绝对不是凭空想象。它虽然未必完美，但它极具川式风格，直接、豪气、政治味十足。可问题是，钱从哪来？川普的答案始终如一，就是关税。对他来说，关税不只是武器，更是筹码，是一种美国优先的资金来源机制。而现在，这套剧本再次上演。在川普第一波寄发的14封对等关税通知函，名单横跨亚洲、非洲与东欧。在7月9日的对等关税启动日前，他无预警地宣布要延期到8月1日执行。但在此之前，他是坚决声称不会延期的。面对川普一再明紧暗松的关税威胁，全球市场表现出令人惊讶的韧性。根据 Invest 数据显示，美国股市在能源、AI、军工、基础建设等板块的平均涨幅表现不差。美国能源自立 ETF 的绩效正在回升。追踪全球2500多档股票的 MSCI 在7月4日还创下历史新高。就连他威胁对铜、药品与化工品加征200%关税的言论，也没有吓退市场，反而被视为谈判策略。盛宝银行大宗商品策略主管奥勒汉森提醒，要看川普做什么，而不是说什么，反映出哪些深层关注川普举措的投资人心情。川普这种先恐吓再放宽，接着制造压力，最后留出市场喘息空间的关税节奏控制术，似乎已经有投资者在深入研究。美国企业慢慢摸索并试图解读川普的语言，那就是政策变化的背后总有可计算的时间差与机会窗口。虽然经济学家警告川普的大而美法案在削减研发与移民方面可能造成长期竞争力的流失，但川普不在乎这些未来性问题，他关注的是现在。所以全球市场为什么到现在还没有离弃这位不确定性制造者？或许就是因为在这场混乱中，只有他的手上还握有剧本。
Later this morning, President Trump says he plans to announce trade deals with at least 7 countries, with more set to be released this afternoon. Of course, earlier this week, Trump did threaten to impose those reciprocal tariffs to levels set in April if some countries did not strike a trade deal, with the first payment due August 1st. That is fast approaching, folks. Well, joining us right now to discuss is former Trump White House economic advisor Steve Moore. Good morning to you, Steve.
Every time Trump talks about new tariffs, the market comes down. But on the other hand, Jan, every time he announces a trade deal with one of these major countries, the stock market goes up. And so if as we expect that there's going to be an announcement of several trade deals with major countries, I think you'll see a nice bounce in the market. The markets and investors will like that. But I don't know the details yet. Well, I'll find out. This has to do with countries like Japan, Korea, a lot of the Asian countries that Trump feels have not created a level playing field with the United States.
And despite President Trump's latest threat to reinstate those Liberation Day tariffs on August 1st, the global markets are basically calling his bluff, with both Asia Pacific and European stocks giving a muted response today. From UBS, quote, "It seems a wasted effort to analyze every Trump social media post when investors understandably anticipate future retreats." JP Morgan adds, many client conversations yesterday point to investors still believing that Trump pivots lower from these levels. And Goldman Sachs writes, "We do not generally expect these proposed rates to take effect on August 1st.
And we are waiting to see the impact, if any, of President Trump's new tariff announcements on the markets. You're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average right next to me after about, 30 minutes plus of trading. The Dow is gaining a couple hundred points. Stocks were down only slightly yesterday after Mr. Trump said imported copper would be taxed by 50%, and in addition to a potential 200% increase on pharmaceuticals in the future.
Not as much as they used to be. And I think the reality is that investors are getting used to this back and forth, the uncertainty. They're taking heart that a lot of these implementation deadlines have been pushed out to August 1st. And so that being said, I think it's important to dive into what parts of the market are doing well and sort of bolstering that overall picture, and what parts aren't. So I want to highlight one that's really driving the market and also your 401ks. NVIDIA today just hit a $4 trillion market cap. That is the only company to have done that on Wall Street. And so that tells you, right? AI, tech, this is really bolstering the market.